previously, I shared a video on the top university programs in the United States that are currently offering degrees in ballroom dance. And our friend Azadeh asks, Sunny, could you please speak about attending these colleges versus taking private lessons? What are the pros and cons, in your opinion, of each? And thanks in advance. So, in a nutshell, if you want to attend college to get a degree, not in ballroom dance, I highly recommend going to a college with a ballroom dance program, okay? Because there are benefits to those collegiate programs, okay? So number one, if your goal is to turn pro, in like at BYU, for example, you can specialize in ballroom dance and get your ISTD teaching certification in the process of just taking your classes there, okay, to prepare for those exams. So in my opinion, that's a heck of a lot less boring than just studying on your own for the exams, which most people do. Number two, it is relatively cheap to take group classes in that you're already paying for tuition for your college education. Say you're there to get an accounting degree. Well, you know what? You know how college works. Not a community college, but a regular university. You pay one tuition, take as many classes as you want, right? So there's definitely a savings in money there versus the private lessons. I just pay per lesson, pay. The more lessons I take, the more I pay. Of course, there is a certain limit in that collegiate course in that, it is a 4-credit class. There is going to be testing. You only have so many hours in the day, to study, because you will have to study for those tests too, heels, toes, angles, just like any other college class. Okay, next up. You'll probably in that collegiate program have some degree of access to, I will say, discounted private lessons when they bring in visiting coaches for the team. Even if you can't afford the privates, that's going to be included with the being on the formation team where they'll come in and bring a visiting coach. That's actually a high-level coach. Now, the teams don't really have the most elite coaches in the country as kind of their primary home coach, but those top teams do bring in very good coaches to do their choreography, just to give them a little spit shine, make them look their best, polishing. And while those pros are there teaching those classes, you often have an opportunity to take private lessons that, for example, in the case of BYU, might be subsidized by the university, meaning by that big fat tuition you're already paying. Huge benefit. Okay, next up, if you are an accomplished dancer, you can often get a dance scholarship to be on that performance team. I've seen, the best dancers on the team get full ride scholarships. And for the record, most of the couples coming out of those programs don't actually even become professional dancers. They'll take a dance major, probably double major in something else, and they end up pursuing something else. And that's fine too. Get 2 birds with 1 stone. Hey, get an advanced degree and get a ballroom degree. Why not? Okay. If you want to compete successfully at the championship level, though, I do not recommend going that college route because you're already going to be spending all that money on your tuition. You're not going to have access to all the comps because you're there going to college. You can't travel all the time to the comps. You can't just fly for a week to New York to get lessons with the best coaches. You are beholden to the few coaches that they are going to bring into you that year to your school. And that's honestly, guys, that's not going to be enough to make it at the championship level. At that point, you've got a lot of politics playing in, and it's going to take much more of a time commitment. Okay. So another way private lessons will be better is you do progress at your own pace. Obviously, in a collegiate program, you are progressing. It's much like taking a group class, except pushing harder if you're in a dance program, that you would in your home studio. So not everyone is going to be learning to their maximum potential. So if you're extremely talented, it's probably not the best route for you to go if you want to dance at that championship level, okay? Okay, here's a dark secret. I know many people on these teams, and they don't complain publicly because they don't want a political consequence and to get on their teacher's bad side, get a bad grade, but they find to be on these teams quite burdensome. It takes a great deal of time away from their studying for anything else. Their other grades suffer. They are expected to prioritize the dancing over all else. And, do I necessarily think that's the best in any dance situation for someone in college? No, whether you're taking privates or groups, especially at that age, friends. I don't highly recommend the Collegiate program for that reason. Okay, next up, there are age limits in competing at the collegiate level. So while a benefit of being in college and being on a performance team is you get to perform, I have personally never seen someone, I'll say probably over the age of 30, be accepted on that team. And hey, just going to the school doesn't get you on the team, guys. You got to try out. And age bias, who am I to say? But I'm just telling you what I've seen, guys. And although there's a ton of partner options there if you do want to compete, and there's lots of cheap college comps, the reality is, I think the age limit for competing collegiate is you have to be full-time and like 35 and under or something. I'd have to look up the exact rules. Hey, we got some pro friends on here. Comment below if you know the exact NDCA rules. I think it's that you have to be 35 and under. So if you're over that age, you're not going to have partner options, because who wants to compete with someone that the collegiate rules prohibit you from competing in their events with it? If you are, of college age, you're probably going to have a ton of great partner options, and the collegiate level dancers do swap all the time. So it is much easier to find dance partners in those collegiate programs as opposed to the private lessons. Your little studio space is a much smaller world. Okay. And if you are in college full-time, you probably don't have time to work. So there is a benefit to taking private lessons, and that you can actually have a full-time job and pay for all that coaching and pay for all that comps. Because you know what, guys, if you're dropping tens of thousands on college tuition each year, you're not going to have that leftover, work money. You're in school full-time. You're paying out money full-time. At least when you have a job, are you spending a lot on your dancing? Heck yeah. But you know what? You're making money when you're working, So anyway, guys, pros and cons to each. I hope that's been insightful. And friends, I'm just one ballroom dancer in the gigantic world of ballroom dance. So if you have something different in your country or even your area of the country, hey, share below what you think is best or what you've seen work well for people, and been kind of the best way to become the best dancer they can be. So guys, thank you for joining me today. I will see you first thing in the morning with some more ballroom dance hot tea. Thanks for joining me today. Toodles.